Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. We're going to take a quick look here at Bitcoin. The quick consensus here from yesterday's analysis is that we're likely to work ourselves into a bullish type of flag pattern. So future reference, if Bitcoin does end up pulling back, we should be able to see that 88.5 to 90K support range retested and continuing higher. I'd really like to see that happen. We wicked down to about 91.5, so it's definitely an attempt there. But so far, we can see this tentative channel working itself into play so far. But it's very tentative for the moment. You never truly know what's going to happen at this rate, just based on how volatile the market is, based on a lot of this being a fundamental catalyst, due to, of course, this same old stuff, the tariffs with China. So it's a pretty big what if. But for the most part, what we want to look at is key level supports, resistances, liquidation. Those things kind of help narrow down the odds of which direction we're heading. We do have to be transparent, we have a short position open with Bitcoin. We secured nice profits with I think Ethereum here last night. Good little 23% there for a short from like roughly 1800 to about 1750. But the Bitcoin short hasn't triggered yet, obviously, because we need to come down closer to that 90,000 range. So the question is, do we keep that open? Do we close it? Where are we at? We'll take a look here and see. So do me a favor, hit the like button, comment below. Always hit the like button every single video, folks. It just really helps grow the channel. And more importantly, if you like what you see, that's just your way to compliment, give me a compliment if you will. I appreciate it. I get tons of great feedback, and the likes are honestly just as valuable. So 95,000 is the upper range, 91.5 is that lower range. More liquidation to the upside, incentivizing the price to go higher or break out at some point. Between now and then, it's hard to presume that we're going to go higher until we break free from our local high. That's roughly 94,200. I'll show you on the charts what I mean by that, but typically when you see shifts in momentum and reversals, you're going to need to break those short-term descending trend lines, and we haven't done that yet. So even though Bitcoin does look pretty decent today, a lot of altcoins are surging, it's definitely something to be mindful of. I'm not proposing you short just because we have shorts open. Those are just kind of like some quicks in and out. My goal is to short to 90K, and then you can absolutely consider a long position at that point. We may not see that happen though, folks, because there's still a tremendous amount of liquidation. But let's talk about this here, because when liquidation delta gets so high for so long, we saw the same thing happen when Bitcoin went from the 70K range to the 90 plus K range back last year, essentially when we got that massive run up. When that happened, we saw roughly 30 to 40 billion in liquidation delta, and that maintained itself for about 3 or 4 days. And not saying this exact same situation here, but it's feeling very similar. Only difference is we're not hitting the 100K mark. We're kind of plateaued at 92. So what I'm getting at here is when liquidation delta stays too high, this is basically longs versus shorts. We have way more longs in the market than shorts. There's typically some kind of capitulation that happens where the price action will pull back to rinse those longs if they don't secure profits here soon. So I hope these greedy longs can start taking profits so we have less volume there and essentially allow for us to go higher. I know it sounds weird, but if the price doesn't pull back, it's more likely to fall pretty hard. And even though we joke about it, we could very well see a Bart Simpson type of play out. And I know that's kind of a weird concept. I'll show you on the charts too what I mean by that if you're not familiar. But the concept here is that 90,000, 88,000, there's a tremendous amount of support, a lot of open interest in that range, letting us know that people are very heavy in the 88K range. So if the price does gravitate towards that $88,000 support, it's a very logical place to consider a long, between 88 and 90K. So that's just kind of where my mind's at when I go to those things. It's never a foolproof situation, but what we want to look at here, first of all, is let's go ahead and just take a look at the macro really quick. So what we want to do here, first of all, is recognize we've broken our descending trend line. We're over all moving averages. We're in really good shape for the macro. But we do got to recognize also we got a strong resistance at roughly 95.5 to 97,000. So depending on what chart you're on, you're going to see that there's a lot of resistance above the price action. Okay, so on basically futures, we're seeing 97,000, but on spot, so to speak, we are seeing a little bit different of a story there. But 95 to 97,000 is that resistance range. So just know that. That's why I felt confident in having a stop loss in that range for Bitcoin for my short, just based on the simple fact that that would be an invalidation if we continued past that, right? All that being said, the whole point of mentioning this is just that we got resistance above us, the local highs. So we want to understand that we're going to need a lot more volume to punch through that. Okay. So it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be stuck here, but it does imply we may be going sideways or have some range bound activity for a while. I'm willing to guess 90 to 95K is going to be our new range for a little bit. All that being said, daily time frame looks fantastic. There's nothing really much here. It's like a hidden bullish or bearish divergence. You could argue that stochastic swinging down for the second time, that does carry more weight than the first. So my speculation is that we're going to start losing momentum as we stay in this range longer, and we will inevitably pull back. You also got to recognize, though, when you range bound after a nice push like this, it's really common for the price to go higher because there's bullish rectangle patterns and different things that could occur. But from a daily time frame, the perspective here is pretty solid. Okay, 4-hour time frame is going to reflect the same. There's nothing really too different. The thing I just got to make sure to point out is that we do have a lot of fair value below the price action, and some people will argue that fair value gaps, yes, they get filled, but not right away, which is true. Totally true. But on the same accord, based on the fact that we kind of legged up here so quickly and there's kind of a lot of fundamental stuff going on, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the price just go like this and then come right back up. So faking everybody out to break the ascending trend line, everyone goes short at 87K, and then of course the price just goes up and melts faces. So there's a good chance that could happen. Between now and then, though, I would say that it's safe to presume that this bullish type of flag pattern will continue. I think we're going to break down just a little bit further based on the simple fact that we're seeing a tremendous amount of resistance here in the 93 to 94K range. And of course, the fair value gap essentially being there. And don't forget too, with CME futures, there's a small gap down as low as 92,000. And you're probably scratching your head. You're like, wait a minute, we hit 91.5 yesterday. Why is that not filled? Well, these are different charts, and the CME futures has different liquidity. So you're going to notice a variance there. But with that gap still remaining, that is concurrent in a lot of ways with this fair value gap between 88.5 and 90.5. Okay, so just know that exists. If we look at the hourly time frame, we can recognize that while we have a lot of support below us, we have this window of opportunity that has closed. In other words, if you're in a long position, you should have secured profits by now. That's more of a conservative indicator. And then furthermore, too, lagging span and the conversion line, they've flipped sides, essentially letting us know we're losing momentum. So this very conservative indicator is kind of letting us know that it's probably best not to be in a long, and that's taking a short position. Honestly, we still don't have confirmation for that either. So we are in a transitionary type of state right now. Okay, and oftentimes when you're transitioning, you don't want to trade. I got in early on a short position based on the simple fact that I was expecting the price to dump a little faster than it didn't. So keep that in mind. And a lot of times you want to try to get ahead of these kind of movements. But for the most part, if we do start, creeping up, we start getting closures above this local high, about like 94K roughly, and possibly even, to say 95,000. We get above this, then obviously we're going to need to invalidate that consideration for that trade and maybe shift gears. But between now and then, it seems very sensible that we're going to be continuing a little bit lower here before we go up, which basically means you want to be careful trading altcoins. Majority of them are pumping and or like bottoming out tentatively. But if Bitcoin does kind of run towards that 90K range, there could be a lot more fear and a lot more selling pressure than is necessary, and that may come into play as well. So I would just be kind of cautious and careful. Today's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday, taking a bunch of trades into the weekend, maybe not the best call. I would just make sure you pump the brakes, relax. Lately, I've been taking like 2 to 3 trades a week. It's nothing super substantial. But again, it's safer. Statistically, this month, we hit about 85% of our targets. So it's all good. You just got to make sure that you're not over leveraging and not going too hard. So at this point, I feel confident that we should be able to go harder when Bitcoin's in the 90 to 88.5K range. Between now and then, I'm a little concerned about taking a long at the top. And obviously, depending on the altcoin you're trading, there could be a lot of different scenarios there. Okay, I have talked too much here. Appreciate you watching. We'll look forward to working with you here in the future if you want to become a better trader. Don't forget, cryptocash.tech is a site linked down below. We've got a lot of good traders over there, and it's just been an awesome experience. So join us on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord if you want. My Twitter is nice. It's good because I can communicate quickly with people, but make sure you go ahead and hit those likes there as well. And then also, of course, you want a little bit more interactive. We got a pretty good community and group over here with our Discord. So that's probably the best way to communicate. All right, folks, have a good rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks again for your time. Take care.